Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mind Marie out of the Encyclopedia of History. This one is Monsters, Mirrors, and Mary Shelley, a Gothic legacy inspired by the splendor of Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, which is absolutely amazing. So, this is where myth meets manuscript. And today we descend into the stormy summer of 1816, where ghost stories, volcanic ash, and radical love birthed one of literature's most enduring monsters and a feminist legacy misunderstood by many. Now, the Villa Diodati wager, very infamous. In the summer of 1816, Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, and Lord Byron were stranded at Villa Diodati near Lake Geneva due to the aftermath of Mount Tambura's eruption, which caused a year without summer. Byron proposed a challenge. Who could write the most terrifying ghost story? Mary, just 18, conceived Frankenstein, or The Modern Prometheus, a novel that would redefine Gothic literature. Though Oscar Wilde wasn't a part of this circle, I feel that he's important to mention because his aesthetic and philosophical provocations echo the same libertine spirit of Byron and the Shelleys. So this is just to let you guys see how patterns go with some of the Gothic literary grades. That brings me to libertine love and literary lineage. Mary eloped with Percy Shelley, who was still married to Harriet Westbrook, a scandalous act that defied Victorian norms and embodied the radical ideals of her parents, Mary Wollstonecraft, author of A Vindication of the Rights of Woman, and William Godwin, the political philosopher and novelist. Their union wasn't just romantic, it was revolutionary. Mary surrounded herself with writers, thinkers, provocateurs, crafting a life of intellectual and emotional intensity. However, she was one who really embodied feminism without misandry. Mary Shelley's feminism was rooted in humanism, not misandry. Her portrayal of Victor Frankenstein's hubris and the creature's suffering invites readers to reflect on the duality of human nature, not to vilify men, but to critique unchecked ambition and emotional neglect. Her work challenges the assumption that early feminists were anti-male. Instead, she interrogated power, responsibility, and empathy, themes that are still relevant today. So the duality and darkness in Gothic literature, Mary's Frankenstein and Robert Louis Stevenson's Jekyll and Hyde both explore the monstrous within. Stevenson's wife supposedly criticized Jekyll and Hyde for romanticizing its horror and urged her husband to go into a deeper reflection on the internal moral decay that Gothic fiction often dramatizes. So these novels aren't just thrillers, they're psychological mirrors, revealing how repression and denial can manifest monstrosity. That brings me to Del Toro's cinematic reverence. Guillermo del Toro is out of this world amazing, and his work is legacy. He is a legacy creator, and I think that that is an absolute at this point. His name belongs among the stars, among the best directors that, especially when it comes to Gothic cinematography, this man is impeccable at his art. So Guillermo, Del Toro's Frankenstein plays homage to this legacy, embedding Percy Shelley's poetry and Lord Byron's quotes into its cinematic tapestry, therefore honoring and giving tribute to that original wager and the people that were there when it occurred. And it's just an amazing bit of lore to the background of writers. And, Del Toro's use of stage play symbolism, his literary iconography, and the Gothic aesthetics underscore the timelessness of these themes and the women who shaped them. So, Mary Shelley didn't just birth a monster, she birthed a movement. Her legacy, alongside Stevenson's wife's critique, remind us that Gothic literature is more than horror. It's a reckoning, it's a mirror, it's a call to confront the shadows that we carry. And, you know, I just I absolutely loved this movie. Of course, everyone who has followed my reviews or knows what a cinephile I am, a total movie buff over here. Um, I regularly review Gothic films. That's like one of my favorites. I loved Nosferatu. I love Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from the 90s with Robert De Niro as the creature and Helena Bonham Carter. I loved Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman and Winona Ryder. But, anyways, these are just like this is my thing. So with Frankenstein, I gave a 5-star review and I said, I am in love with the cinematic glory that Guillermo del Toro has once again delivered to us in this delightful display of Gothic elegance, gore, and scientific marvel that is one of the best renditions and nods to Mary Shelley's creation that I have ever seen. And that's not something I say lightly. I am a hard to impress fan here too because I fell in love with the book as a child and was privileged to see the Robert De Niro version in theaters when it came out. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is one of my favorite Gothic films of all time to date. However, Guillermo is a genius, and I knew when I saw the trailer for this movie that it would deliver upon his grandness and do justice to Mary's story for this new edition for the current generation. And following some of the great Gothic films that have come out in the last year, I definitely loved it. It served up a wonderful course post Nosferatu and also Dracula, A Love Tale, which is also an amazing nod. Like I said, Bram Stoker's Dracula having been one of my top tier favorites, but that one also holds up exquisitely. So I highly recommend Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein to all of my Gothic romantic enthusiasts who love the old classics in literature, and obviously also Dracula, A Love Tale with Luc Besson. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with out of the Encyclopedia of History with you all tonight.